Hello and welcome aboard WhalePod to the review of Kamisato Ayato that I said would be out yesterday, but decided to postpone to today in order to post my opinions on the actual banner rosters in yesterday's video. So, let's get into the overview of my Ayato's stats. We have an attack stat much lower than I would like due to some unfortunate artifact main statting I have not gone on to remedy yet, and a much higher defense than I would like for the same reason. Ayato as a Hydro character is of course going to want maybe a little elemental mastery to make better use out of Vaporize and Vaporize and stuff like Electrocharged for some of the more typical Hydro teams like Taser or, well, of course, the aforementionedly named Vaporize compositions, as well as newer ones like Bloom and Hyper Bloom, but particularly Bloom because in Hyper Bloom the Electro is the one who wants the elemental mastery, not the Hydro. My Ayato's stats are 51.7 crit rate and 197.2 crit damage. I would like a little bit more crit rate and a little bit less crit damage, but that is how that's how the substats worked out, and I'm not gonna look a gift nearly triple damage half the time in the mouth, or basically or basically just like 1.5 damage all the time on average. Ayato is a DPS, so he shouldn't have a ton of energy recharge. I'd say about 130 is where most DPS will end up falling. And my Ayato is at 61.6% Hydro damage from having a Hydro Goblet fully leveled and Heart of Depths 2-piece. Ayato's weapons, I'm actually going to say Ayato is actually more narrow in weapons than you might first think. The two clear choices are Harun Geppaku Futsu and Primordial Jade Cutter. It's arguable whether which one is better than the other. Not typically, currently going with Futsu because it matches his aesthetic better than Jade Cutter does. And I also do believe I was wrong about something in the last video. Ayato's elemental skill attacks are not considered normal attack damage. He just simply, his weapon passive simply works off of when he and other nearby party members use elementals, well, specifically when other characters use elemental skills. And then when he uses his elemental skill, all stacks from the other characters using elemental skills will be consumed to boost normal attack damage by 20% at Refinement 1 here for each stack. So I guess they do count as normal attacks. So I guess I was wrong about being wrong. Because if they were normal attacks, this passive would be useless on him. But it does explain how it's decent on Keqing, because Keqing's whole thing is use her elemental skill to infuse her normal and charge attacks with Electro, and then go to town with that. But I guess that also means Mistsplitter Reforged is a decent weapon on Ayato as well, because he will be able to get the full 3 stacks, as he is still dealing normal attack damage when he's using his elemental skill. In all reality, though, I think I'd rate it as Futsu and Jade Cutter as roughly being tied for his best in slot, with maybe the edge to Futsu in some situations and maybe the edge to Jade Cutter in others. And then after that, I'd say Mistsplitter Reforged, if you have it, can be good on Ayato, but it is better on both Keqing and on his little sister. Or on Bennett if you're just using it for that 674 base attack like I am with this second Refinement 2 Mistsplitter on my Bennett. Other 5-star weapons that could look interesting on Ayato but might not give you the results you're looking for are Skyward Blade, as it does give additional attack speed after using Elemental Burst, allowing you to get in 1 or 2 additional slashes per elemental skill after popping your burst. And similarly, Ayato does have a little bit of HP scaling and Key of Kaj Nisut if you accidentally got it while going for Jade Cutter on the Key and Jade Cutter banner for Nilou and Albedo. It does provide more HP than pretty much any other weapon in the game. But at the same time, the HP scaling is a much smaller kit, well, much smaller part of Ayato's kit than others, so I'm going to go ahead and say this is just for the memes. Just like Skyward Blade is kind of just for the memes, because those 1 or 2 extra slashes that the attack speed boost will allow you to get aren't really too significant, but it's still fun to do. For 4-star options, I would highly recommend the 4-star crit options, those being Blackcliff Longsword, which is completely free-to-play accessible, even if it does require a lot of star glitter to get your hands on one copy of. For those who don't know, these Blackcliff weapons are available in the Star Glitter store for 24 Star Glitter apiece, that being what you get from 4-star weapons, 5-star weapons, duplicate 4-star characters, and duplicate 5-star characters. And they are available, I want to say these guys only show up on odd-numbered months. So right now, these guys would not be in the shop, but in a couple days in the new year, January being an odd-numbered month, these guys would be back around again. And of course, if you're a light spender or higher, there is the option of the Black Sword, and I say light spender or higher because Black Sword is locked behind the paid tiers of the Battle Pass. However, it is only locked behind the standard Battle Pass tier, so it only takes $5 to unlock. And with all the other things you do get from that $5, I'd say it's probably one of the best values in the game if you are looking to spend. Battle Pass $5 tier and Welkin Moon are definitely the most efficient options for you, and the Battle Pass in particular will allow you to pick your choice of a crit rate weapon of each of the 5 weapon types. Other 4-star weapons, maybe a Vape Ayato could want something like Iron Sting, although I don't think he can make full use of it because I don't think he actually deals elemental skill damage. Or maybe he does with the initial illusion and then the slashes are considered normal attack damage. Or maybe a Vape Ayato might want to consider a Zephos Moonlight to also give the whole team a little bit more energy recharge. Zephos Moonlight is a very cool new weapon that has been added to the game since Ayato's first run. And I do feel like it could give a Vape Ayato a bit more value in the sub or main DPS of a team that is aiming for forward Vape. Other 4-star weapons I would run on him, I'm actually going to read this thing real quickly. I got it to R5 in the event, but I've never actually read what it does. I do have footage from that event ready to go. I think I'm going to splice it all together in one monstrously long video, so that I can just get it out all in one day and not have to dole it out with an eyedropper over 3 days. Okay, let's see. Kaidan Rainfall Earthbinder. After an attack hits opponents, it will inflict an instance of Cursed Parasol upon one of them for 10 seconds. This effect can be triggered once every 15 seconds. If the opponent is taken out during the duration, it will be refreshed immediately. Character wielding, it will deal 32% more damage. Okay, so yeah, it's got the same elemental mastery stats as an Iron Sting or Zephos Moonlight. So the fact that it is related to an event organized by Ayato's Yashiro Commission might make it a bit of a flavorful pick for the Vaporize Ayato for players who were around during the version 3.3 event to obtain it, which right now is probably the whole of people watching this guide. But in the future, there will probably be a rise in players who started after version 3.3 who will never be able to get the Tokubo Shigure here. Yeah, that's what I think is going to be good on Ayato. I wouldn't recommend a Favonius because it has too low of a base attack. It does have monster energy recharge, but Ayato doesn't care too much about his elemental burst. His whole shtick is his skill. As always, I would not recommend a 3-star weapon unless you absolutely need to on a main DPS character. And in the case you do need to, maybe use the Harbinger of Dawn and run him with a healer or a shielder to keep him above that 90% threshold. Harbinger of Dawn, of course, being one of the most interesting 3-star weapons in the game, because it does have the ability to add quite a lot of crit value to a character. So if you don't really care about your base attack too much, and aren't really on field or run with a shield or healer most of the time, the Harbinger can be a very big asset. Now, artifact time. This is going to be a quick section. I'm just going to say there are only 2 sets I would use on Ayato, and it is not Echoes of an Offering, which appears like it was built specifically for Ayato. I would once again not use it because it is bugged and does not work properly if your ping is anything higher than about 40. My ping is constantly hitting at about 50, so Echoes of an Offering will never work as intended for me. Another set I'm going to debunk here is I would not use Shimenawa's Reminiscence on Ayato, despite him not caring too much about his burst, because I just think Shimenawa's Reminiscence is an awful set in general. It lures you in with that 50% normal and charge attack damage, only to have you realize, hey, wait, I never get to use my elemental burst. And on Ayato's, even though it's not the focus of his kit, Ayato's elemental burst is actually useful. It provides a constant source of Hydro damage, Hydro application, and also increases the normal attack speed of everyone standing within its AoE. Heart of Depths, I would say, though, is his best choice, because it will give him a lot of normal attack damage after using his elemental skill, and the duration is long enough that it will last the entirety of his elemental skill. And the 2-piece set bonus gives him extra Hydro damage. The only other set I would really recommend for Ayato is Gladiator's Finale, because that will give him an even bigger boost to his normal attacks, and it is not conditional upon having used his elemental skill, and it will just give him a little bit of extra flat attack boost. Not flat attack, but attack percent, but you get what I mean. Is this a flat boost to his attack of 18%. Constellations, I am not going to comment on or recommend a constellation I do not own, so I'm just going to say, well, Ayato's constellations, they don't really interest me. Some of them do have some seemingly cool effects, but I'm just going to say constellations on limited 5 stars are expensive. Only go for them if you really, really, really enjoy the character, or if you're really, really, really loaded. Now, Ayato's talents here, I have done something you should probably never do, and leveled up his normal attack. I'm going to say this talent upgrade recommendation is absolutely correct. His normal attack serves absolutely no purpose, because his elemental skill has its own independent multipliers and does not apply something like Yoimiya or Scaramouche / Wander / insert name here does with their elemental skills. So, normal attack is completely worthless. I leveled this up in the first couple days of having Ayato, before really going out and looking up things that said, hey, it's worthless, don't level this up. Don't make the same mistake I did. It is worthless despite me having it at 8. That's just kind of what I did for main DPS units back at that time, regardless of whether or not it was worth it. But of course, the bread and butter is going to be the elemental skill, as that is what all of his normal attack damage will actually be based on. Because if you're using Ayato outside of his elemental skill, you should probably instead be going through other characters in your rotation. His elemental burst, while not the focus of his skill, of his kit, is definitely a better value to put your resources into than his normal attack, so that should be done second. Now, the multipliers on his on his normal attack even do seem a little bit low in order to discourage you from putting any points into them, or any resources into it. Now, his elemental skill, however, these 3 hits here are the real multipliers you want to go for, and they are a lot better than these. First of all, it's a shorter hit cycle, so you get to your heaviest hitting attack quicker each time through. And then you do getting back to your heaviest hitting attack each time through here. And even though it only lasts 6 seconds, in those 6 seconds you're going to be able to get, at baseline, probably about 15 or 16 hits in, so 5 or 5 1/3 full rotations. And with some attack speed bonuses from his elemental burst field, and maybe if you're going for the Skyward Blade meme team, you could probably get 17 to 19 in there. And of course he does have a little bit extra damage here on that Namisen, which stacks up to 4 times based on his max HP. And while it does look to be a pretty small number, you do have to remember character max HP gets to be a much bigger number overall than character attack, so the smaller numbers are warranted. The water illusion damage happens at the start, and will automatically explode if there are enemies nearby when it is formed, or if an enemy gets close enough to it after formation, or automatically at the end of the 6-second duration, which coincides with the end of Ayato's enhanced slashing state. It has a cooldown of 12 seconds, so you're going to be having 50% uptime, giving you more than enough time to switch through other members of your rotation between uses. His elemental skills damage is not exactly that noteworthy, other than the fact that it's constantly ticking away every second. It does give a normal attack damage bonus to everyone standing inside of it, so your normal attacks will be putting out more damage while within the field. It lasts 18 seconds and has a cooldown of 20 seconds, so it is going to have nearly perfect uptime, maybe perfect uptime because the cooldown starts happening during the casting animation, but I don't believe the duration actually takes effect until the casting animation is over. It does have an energy cost of 80 though, so be prepared to run him with a battery, either another Hydro character like Xingqiu or Yelan, or just with an amazing Omni battery like the Raiden Shogun. Now we have the first of his Ascension passives. This one modifies his skill, and he will automatically gain 2 Namisen stacks, aka half of his HP scaling automatically. And when the water illusion explodes, aka if there's enemies nearby Ayato when you use the skill, he will get the maximum number of stacks possible. Why doesn't it just say 2 stacks? Because I do believe like his Constellation 2 or something lets him get a 5th. Once again, I'm not going to talk too in depth about the constellations because I will not recommend any constellation I do not personally own. Now we get to his A4 passive. If he is not on the field and his energy is less than 40, he will generate 2 energy for himself every second. And his adventure passive is the same as Hu Tao's. It is pretty useful. It just gives you an 18% chance whenever you're cooking to receive additional rotten food of the same type. I do want to check something here. Did they, It doesn't say anything about an attack speed bonus in here, but I thought for sure it gave an attack speed bonus. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just gives a normal attack boost, and that's why I was using him with a Wander in my Spiral Abyss video. Like, I'm gonna quickly check here. Okay, so there is an attack speed boost, but it's locked behind C4. Once again, I'm not going to recommend any constellation I don't own. Constellation 4s in particular are very expensive. Do not go for Endless Flow. So I was sort of right. It does exist, I just don't have it, and I likely never will, because Ayato's constellations don't interest me that much. Now, with the Ayato review done, let's get into the Floor 12 showcase. Let's, we're going to, of course, have Ayato be taking on first half, so we don't need to run him with Geo to bring down the Pupper Snake. We're going to be running Ayato. I think we're going to go for showing off a little bit more of a meta team here. I normally don't like doing teams like this, but Ayato actually really shines with a weird sort of Ayato international here. With Ayato, Xiangling, Kazuha, you probably could slot in Sucrose as well. Kazuha's role here is to bring the Viridescent Venerer resistance shred and group the enemies up for all the slashy fun here. And Bennett for the Pyro Res, and also for a little bit of light heals here. I guess you could also, if you didn't care about, well, if you wanted an even lighter healer or didn't care about healing at all, go with Xingqiu for an even lighter healer, or Yelan for just more damage output. But we're going to go Bit safer here, get that double pyro attack boost because our Ayato's attack is a little bit lower than optimal. And of course, on the second half here, we're just going to do what we did at the same time. For the other beat this thing quick off camera for the second halves and bring in an altered Ito team here. I say it's the altered because it's already altered from being the triple Geo single flex slot to being double Geo with Yai Miko and a healer. But I usually use Bennett in that role, but we don't have two Bennetts. We can never get two Bennetts, so Kokomi is going to be the healer here instead. Now, okay, character attack is going to help out both Ayato and Ito. Let's,
Adventure teamwork is dreamwork! Eat this!
Clouds high. The birds call. Cascade.
let's get chipping away at our perpetual mechanical friend here. The one downside of Ayato is if he does have to reposition, he will lose a fair number of his slashes there.
One with nature.
Nice and
Get our Guoba down. And just keep slashing away. We're going into our second phase already. We're gonna go ahead and just
Kamisato Ayato.
pop some stuff here.
Into the wind. Be still.
We have the Sneck here.
let's light it up!
This is probably gonna be a lot slower than the Ride and Shogun clear of this thing.
Get them!
As one with wind and cloud. Cascade.
Like a lot slower. We're still getting some good vaporize action going on here.
One with nature.
I wouldn't be surprised if this guy gets to go into his estate here a second time.
Teamwork is dreamwork! You're toast!
Let's go ahead and pop the snapshot on Xiangling's burst there.
Be still.
I'm normally not such a meta player that I even care about stuff like that, but we do what we have to.
Mind the deluge. Time to go.
Man, I thought he was going into his state again. And that's a long slog through the Lego cube, but we do have more than enough time for our Unga Bunga to clean house over here, so we'll be back in Floor 12 Chamber 2. And as we predicted, Unga Bunga was able to pick up the slack, and we continue on to Floor 12 Chamber 2. EM's gonna be having all our vapes hit harder here. So, let's go for that.
Fallen leaves adorn my The wind knows me.
Let's
Everybody stand back!
thrash those through real quick.
Target practice.
Get Xiangling's burst out while we still have Benny around a snapshot.
Stretch your wings and raise a storm!
And we will be back when Ito has done his job and Unga Bunga'd through the second half. Pupper Snake pulverized, entering Chamber 3. And elemental burst damage. This will help out the rest of the squad more than it will Ayato, really.
One with nature. Clouds high. The birds call. Be still.
I'm going in!
The wind knows me. Cascade.
And really, it's just a race against the clock here, as this chicken mushroom skewer is just insanely bulky.
One with nature.
You're toast!
Be still. This is getting... As one with wind and
Ayato
cloud.
might go down here. Unfortunate.
Everybody stand back!
But he doesn't, because our Bennett is just unkillable.
The wind knows me.
Let's light it up! Boba, get them!
One with nature. Kamisato Ayato. Suiyu. Cascade. Native overestimate.
Alright, Jade Plume here.
Teamwork is dreamwork! Huh?
Clouds high. The birds call into the wind.
Ayato does also have a little bit of range on him, so he can hit the Terror Shroom when it's outside of when it's outside of Benny Burst by a little bit. But with the Terror Shroom going down, that is where we're going to end this episode of well, this Genshin Impact video, this review of Ayato. I thank you all for watching, and do make sure to smack those like and subscribe buttons if you have not done so already, to trigger the reaction known as getting more of my content into your hands. As always, comments are welcome down below. And with that said and done, I hope you all are having fantastic days, WhalePod. Make sure to stay cool, stay classy, and most importantly, stay healthy. But until next time, this is Captain Whale, signing off.